So this is still to be part 1, and what we're going to look at this time are the 2 drop down boxes that need creating that can be done through validation rules. So we're going to look at depot and we're going to look at vehicle. So first of all, we need to know where's our source of depots going to come from. Well, if we have a look at our vehicle rates worksheet, these are the depots I've created, and what I've done is created a new list here called depots, and I've put the 3 depots in that list, and as you can see I've named that list depots. So in order to name that list, what I did is I just highlighted this area here and we just typed in the word depots and it names that list depots. So whenever I want to refer to that list, all I've got to do is refer to the phrase DEPOTS, depots. So what we're going to do is we'll create our validation rule. So if we go to data and then data validation, and here again data validation, we can now create a rule, and what we're going to do is we're going to select from a list. So I'm going to select list here, and our list is going to come from that source. So if I go to vehicle rates and highlight that, you can see that it's picked up as depots. So that's going to be the source of our list. So if I click on OK now, and now we click on that drop down, you can see I can choose Bristol, I can choose High Wycombe, and I can choose Gloucester. So the second drop box that we've got to look at is our vehicle that we're going to use, and this is going to be selected from a drop down box of the vehicle types that are available at the depot selected. Now that's what makes this difficult, because we only want to be able to choose from the Gloucester depot if Gloucester's selected, the Bristol depot if Bristol's selected, and so on. We're going to use data validation because it's the only way that we can actually do this, and we're going to use a function called indirect. Let's just talk you through it. If we have a look at our vehicle rates, what we want to happen is that if Bristol was selected as the depot, then we only want to be able to see these cars. Now what we've got to do is we have got to create a named range that matches the name of the depot. So here I'm going to create this as a named range called Bristol, and we'll do the same for Gloucester. And when it comes to High Wycombe, you may be aware that you can't have spaces in named ranges. Look what happens. So what we're going to have to do is we're just going to have to call it High Wycombe like this without a space, and we'll deal with the fact that there's no space in it later. So we can see there, these are the vehicles in Bristol, these are vehicles for High Wycombe, these are vehicles for Gloucester. And what's going to happen is that we're going to make reference to this named range which matches the depot name, apart from High Wycombe where we've got this space involved that we need to deal with. So we'll go back to our quote, and we're going to create here our validation rule. So what we'll do is go to data and validation, and we're going to do a list again, and our source is going to basically pick up the named range that matches what has been selected in depot. We'll do this bit by bit. So we're going to use indirect, and what that basically means is that it will look up the cell reference, or in this case the named range, that matches whatever has been selected here. So if I just select $C $14, well that's not great at the moment, so we'll name this first. We'll call that depot, and now at least when we do look at our data validation, I can put in here $C $14, just put depot, and if we have a look, it works for Gloucester. That's great. Let's see what happens for High Wycombe though. Nothing, because we've got this problem with the space. So we've got to deal with that space next. So we'll go to our validation, and if we look at the moment, what it's doing is it's saying it will look up and use the named range that matches what's been selected in depot. Well, at the moment that won't work because High Wycombe's got a space in it and the named range hasn't. So what we're going to do is we're going to substitute, so we're going to use the substitute function. We're going to substitute from depot, so whatever is in cell C14, and if we see any spaces, so that's a space within speech marks, it's going to be substituted with nothing, so it will be replaced with nothing. That's what substitute means. It means replace any spaces with nothing. So now when we have a look at this, oh, I've forgotten a closed bracket, so we'll put that closed bracket in. Now when we have a look, can you see High Wycombe is working? And also Bristol is still working, because although there weren't any spaces, if there were, they would have been substituted. But at least now High Wycombe is working because the space has been substituted. So what it's doing is it's saying whatever the value is in here, remove the spaces and then use the named range here to select the data from. Now, a problem you might come across is if you've left your depot blank, when you go to create the data validation rule and you click on OK, you'll get this error message. It says the source currently evaluates to an error. Well, that's fine. It does calculate to an error because there's nothing in the depot, so it can't find what that named. If I change that back to something, now it will work. And that's the validation drop down boxes. The next tutorial will take you through the other